You're all doing well, it's Joe here. In this video, I'll be going through how to install WordPress on CyberPanel using Cloudflare for DNS management and its security, and we'll also be installing a free SSL certificate issued through CyberPanel. So I already did a video before on installing WordPress with CyberPanel before, however this is just an updated one with no instructions, so let's just get straight into it. Now, I'll just go through a couple of things first. So the first reason is why we're using something like CyberPanel or installing it on a VPS like Linode or DigitalOcean. So this kind of setup is ideal if you're just looking to test out, wanting to mess with VPS, or even if you have credits with the VPS. So I'll link down my Linode link in this description below, so you could get $100 credit for 60 days just to try out. It's also ideal if you just want to manage yourself, and it is quite cheap, so you're getting a dedicated and quite fast website with this setup compared to a typical web host. Now, this won't be ideal if you need any technical support or assistance, or I wouldn't even recommend if you're looking to host in terms of a full-on website, mainly because of the support and assistance and backups and other benefits you would get from a typical web host. So that won't be something you get with this unless you're a bit more technical. This video doesn't also include the setup of a mail server like we did before. However, there is a much better method that I'll be showing in a new video that would allow you to send and receive emails using a custom domain for free. So just stay tuned for that. But typically Linode, DigitalOcean, and a couple of these providers, I believe, have actually stopped the access to mail servers in terms of blocking ports, so that's another reason why. And it's not really the best setup if you want to use a mail server and want to manage your reputation, etc. Web hosts typically use email relays and such, which are a lot more ideal. We will be using the terminal and entering a couple of commands, so although it's fairly simple, you should be able to do these with us, so just follow through. Now, the stack I'll be using is the domain name will be with Namecheap. The VPS, this time I'll be using Linode for it. So it's the same process for DigitalOcean or Vultr or any other VPS you may have. I'll be actually installing it on Ubuntu. And as I said, the DNS management and security by Cloudflare. And then we'll be using the CyberPanel control panel. So let's just get straight in. Logging into Linode or signing up if you're new. And once we're here, we just want to create a new Linode instance. So I'll click that. For distribution, I'll choose Ubuntu 22.04 LTS. Scroll down and then I'll choose a region. So you can do the speed test page to find out which one is closest to you. So ideally, wherever your visitors are, the region closer to them is where you should choose. So for me in Australia, I choose the Sydney. Then the plan, up to you based on the storage and bandwidth and such you need, but for most sites the shared CPU, any of these is fine. For this example, I'll just go with the $5 1 gigabyte plan, and then just give it a name. So I'll just call it Ubuntu AP CyberPanel instead, and then enter a root password here. So this will be something we need to have access to when we are signing in as root in the command line, so make sure you enter a strong password and you remember it. So you can enable these options if you wish, such as backup and such, but I'll just leave all of this now. And as I said, SMTP is restricted on Linode, for example. So there is a mail server guide, however I believe there is a much better setup if you are looking for something free, so that'll be another video that I'll be making. So once that's all done, press create Linode. I don't want to save this password, and I'll just give it some time for it to fully provision and run. It's the same process across any of the providers, so just once it's done, we'll come back to this. Okay, so in my instance, it's showing as it's running. So in the CyberPanel documentation, it does show you a bit of instructions on how to do it if you want to look at the documentation, and all the instructions are here, so we'll pretty much just be following this. So as my instance is ready, I'll just open this up, and you can use a tool like Putty or something to access the console via SSH, but I'll just be using the built-in. So I'll click this. If nothing happens, just try closing it and then opening the console again. And even if after that nothing happens, I just typically just enter a couple of letters and hit enter or Control C or something, and it should pop up with something soon. There we go. So it's asking for localhost login, so that will be root, and then the password is what we had entered before, so I'll enter mine in. Okay, there we go. So you can see the Ubuntu instance is loaded up, and I'll make this into a tab so it's easier. Okay, there we go. So the first thing we want to do is actually update Ubuntu. So for that, I'll just copy this and then paste it in, Control V, enter. So this would just take care of updating and upgrading our Ubuntu instance. So just give it some time. Okay, so it came up with something like this. So I just hit enter. With any of these options that come up, I just hit enter, and I think it just takes care of it. So okay, so there's another option. I'll just hit enter for this as well. Okay, and that's done. So the next thing we'll do is just get straight into installing CyberPanel. So I'll copy this, click that, and then Control V, enter. So the installer is pretty much a basic setup. So I'll just do one for installing CyberPanel. We'll do CyberPanel with Open Lightspeed. So number one again, full installation. So yes, capital Y, and then capital N for remote MySQL, because that's not something we really need. Enter to continue with the latest version, and then password it will take care of and provide us with the end. But for memcache, we'll do capital Y, Redis, capital Y as well, and then just enter for Watchdog. Now this will continue to install CyberPanel on our installations, so we'll just let that run, and I'll skip through this and get back at the end. Okay, that took a while, but it looks like it's done now. It's asking us if we want to restart our server. I'm just gonna ignore it for now. But if you scroll up a bit, you can see the URL to access the control panel, as well as the username and password. So I'll just copy this password. Right click doesn't give me an option, but if I do select this and then do a Control F, hopefully it selects it. There we go. So I'll just copy that, and then we're going to visit this URL. So that URL is pretty much the IP address assigned, but with colon 8090 at the end. Then we'll hit enter. It's going to give us something like this. That's because there's no SSL certificate assigned yet, but we'll just click advanced and then continue. And then for this is the username, and for the password it was this. I'll just copy it again and then just sign in. Okay, so this is pretty much our CyberPanel control panel and backend. You can see most of the things are straightforward. Now what we'll do is connect our domain. So we need to add a couple of records, but before we even do that with our domain provider, we're going to connect it with Cloudflare for Cloudflare to manage the DNS. Log into Cloudflare if you have an account, or create a new one, and then just press get started. Enter your domain here, so cybersite1.click for me, and then hit continue. Scroll down and select the free plan, or if you want to pay, but free plan is perfect enough for our use case, and then I'll hit confirm. It just wants to do a quick scan, so I'll click that. Scroll down and hit continue. So these are the name servers that we need to add to our domain registrar in order for Cloudflare to manage our DNS. So I'll go to Namecheap, into my domain, scroll down, and then under name servers, it should be a similar step for whatever your domain name provider would be, but I'll just go into the name servers editing option pretty much, and then for this it's custom DNS, and I'll copy these two name servers which have been assigned like so, and then Control V to paste, or just right click and paste and then save. So it will take some time in order for the DNS to propagate around the globe. There is a website you can use such as what'smydns.net in order to find out how it's been propagated so far. So I'll just enter this like my domain, click NS for the name service, search, and you can see it's using Namecheap name servers right now, which are these, but it's slowly getting switched to the Cloudflare one. So we'll just wait till it's fully propagated and active on Cloudflare. So until that, just press continue, continue, and then you can see it's pending. So once it's done, I'll get back. Hey guys, so it's been a while. It took around 20 to 30 minutes for me, but the site is active now on Cloudflare, so we can manage the DNS from here. So just log in and then click DNS. Now what we want to do is any existing records here, we just want to completely delete. So that's what we'll do. So I'll select that and then delete for all these records because we don't need any of these. So, and we will be setting up new ones anyway. So just edit and delete. Okay, and once it's all deleted, we need to add around 4 new records, and I'll explain what they are. So the first thing is actually copying this IP address assigned to your VPS, and then click add record. First one's going to be a record, and it will be @ for root, and then pointing to this IP address. So what that means is when anyone visits cybersite1.click, which is our URL, it would point to wherever the site's hosted, which is this IP address. And we'll enable proxy through Cloudflare. Not now though, we want to do it after everything's all propagated and connected and such, as to avoid any issues potentially. So I'll just disable that for now and then hit save. The next one would be actually a CNAME, www.cybersite1.click, and then that's going to be rewritten to cybersite1.click. Like so. So that's that way anyone that uses the www.url, it would just take them to wherever the main website's hosted, which is at this IP address. So fairly simple, and then we can enable proxy for this and then hit save. Now the other two are pretty much similar, but it would be actually for our CyberPanel. So right now it's not on a secured server, and instead of always remembering this or using this IP address, we can use a subdomain associated with our own domain. So for that, you can be anything like panel or CP or CyberPanel. For this instance, I'll just use panel.cybersite1.click, and then to our IP address. Make sure you keep proxy off for this one because we don't want having any issues with this. So save, and then similar to before, it would be a CNAME record, but with www.panel for me, and then it would take them to panel.cybersite1.click, and then turn proxy off for that. So fairly simple, hit save. And then if we go into our CyberPanel instance, we can see that this option has come up to do the setup wizard. So I'll just click that. And it's pretty much to do the CyberPanel, the actual control panel, onto our subdomain. So as I've shown, it's just panel.cybersite1.click for me. So enter that host name, and because we're not setting up an email service or mail server, I can just click that and hit start configuration. It should take a couple of minutes. Okay, so it looks like it's done, and it's showing this restart CyberPanel option, so I'll just click that. I'll just go direct into our site. So it was panel.cybersite1.click for me, and then you can see, so that's actually the main site, but if you go :8090, that's how you'll be able to access this. So click advanced and then proceed. And then admin, and then enter the password as before. Now in order to install a website, you can go into website, list websites. I'll just check if there's anything existing. There isn't, other than our control panel. So what we can do is press create website, and then just select default for the package and admin for the owner, and then enter the URL here. So cybersite1.click for me, enter an email, and then just select a PHP version. I'll just do 8.2, and we want SSL on this. We don't need DKIM, that's for email. We'll enable this, and we don't need the mail domain because we won't be using mail through this. So we'll just click create domain. Okay, so it says website successfully created. So if we go into list websites, You can see it's here, and then if I click manage, so the SSL has been issued from Let's Encrypt, so that's all good. What we want to do is actually rewrite rules from here, and it's ordered to force the HTTP to HTTPS automatically. So we'll click that and then save the rewrite rule. And that's been saved. The other thing we'll also do is actually for the control panel as well. So websites, list websites. That's potentially why we had that issue before when I visited the site. So scroll down, rewrite rules, and then force HTTP to HTTPS and save. So once that's done, we'll install WordPress on our main site. So if we go into websites, this website, and select this for the domain, scroll down, there should be a WP plus ls cache option. Click that, give it a name, so my website, and then I'll just do this. Give it an email, and then I'll just leave the path empty, and then click install now. Okay, so you can see it's successfully installed. So that way, if we visit the actual URL, there we go. So I just entered the domain and automatically redirected us to HTTPS. There is a security certificate installed, and we can just log into the backend with wp-admin, enter the username and password, and then if you go into plugins, you can see that the Lightspeed cache is installed here. Now the final thing we want to do is just set up Cloudflare backend so that it's all proxied nicely. So we can go into the main website, which was this one, and I did disable proxy initially, but we can just enable that and hit save. We can ignore the ones for the panel and www.panel, it's not a major concern, but this is just important, and that means we're able to access all the speed and all those benefits from here. You can even set up email forwarding, the free email routing from Cloudflare, although I haven't experienced great benefits from it in terms of getting all my emails delivered. However, I'm hoping it's something they will improve over time, but security and all other aspects can be managed from here. So yeah, that's how it's simple enough to manage your instance. And just the final thing we'll also want to do is just reboot our instance. So you can do it from the command line, or it's just easier if you click reboot from your backend, reboot like so. And once it's done, your site should be all good to go with being able to access it from the subdomain we created and WordPress all set up and loaded. So as I said, this is doable on any of the control panels or any of the VPSs available out there, such as Linode or Vulture. Just choose whichever is beneficial, and I'll leave the links to most of the providers below so you can get credit for using, such as the Linode offers a $100 credit for 60 days, and DigitalOcean and Vulture also offers something similar to that. But you can use any VPS. We just installed it with Ubuntu. And if you're interested in the mail server video, just comment below, let me know. Same with web hosting, as ideally I would suggest if you're looking for something to host your business website for, say, you should use a good website provider. It would actually be cheaper than this, and you would be able to benefit from the support and mail. So stay tuned if you guys are looking for a video like that. But thank you guys for watching and hope this helped. And let me know your comments for any new videos or suggestions. Take care. Bye bye.